So we're using the quadratic formula in problem 18. So the quadratic formula is new to this lesson. It is the x equals the opposite of b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, everything divided by 2a. So I need to identify what my a, b, and c values are. The a value is your number of x squareds. And here, if we look at that, I just have 1x squared. So my a value is 1. The b value is your number of x's. So I have negative 13x's. And my c value, which is the constant term, which is 42. Positive 42. I'm now going to substitute those into the equation. So I'm going to get for this, the opposite of b means the opposite of negative 13. That is going to be a positive 13. Plus or minus the square root of negative 13 squared. Minus 4 times my a value is 1 times my c value is 42. All of that is underneath that square root symbol, the radical. Everything in the numerator is divided by 2 times my a value again, which is 1. Whenever I work on these problems, I always want to simplify underneath the radical first and take the square root of that number. So for this problem, I will have 13 plus or minus the square root of negative 13 squared. If you're using your calculator, make sure you know the difference that negative 13 squared on your calculator is different than negative 13 squared. We want this one because negative 13 should be the b value. Negative 13 times negative 13 is going to be a positive number. If you press this one in your calculator, you'll get a negative answer. So on this one, when we do negative 13 squared, we're going to get a positive 169. And then when I take negative 4 times 1 times 42, that is going to give me a negative 168. Now I'm going to take all of that divided by 2 times 1, which is just 2. Again, I'm going to simplify underneath the square root symbol. And I have 13 plus or minus the square root of 1 over 2. I'm going to get myself a little bit of room here. So now I have 13 plus 1 over 2. My other one is 13 minus 1 over 2. That's what this plus and minus means. I actually have two separate problems here. So I'm going to add 13 and 1 and get 14 over 2. And I'm going to then, for the other one, I'm going to subtract that, and I get 12 over 2. So my two solutions are x equals 7 and 6. Note that the very last thing I do is division. Biggest mistake I see students making is that they divide too early. Everything in the numerator gets simplified first before I go through and divide. Hope that helps.